Well, it's official, unfortunately. Head coach Matt Rhule, Carolina Panthers, he announced that Cam Newton is going to be a backup this week to Sam Darnold, a backup for the rest of the season. And again, unfortunately, I think we've seen the last of Cam Newton, at least as a starter. Here's the problem. So many people have said, well, what's the issue with Cam Newton? It's very simple. A psychological principle called the Pygmalion effect. Layman's terms, self-fulfilling prophecy. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Our actions, they dictate other people's beliefs, and that then dictates other people's actions, how other people perform, and then that reinforms our beliefs. Okay, what's that mean, Acho, talking Cam Newton? We don't actually think Cam Newton's good. And so we don't sign Cam Newton until later on in the season. Because we don't sign Cam Newton until later on in the season, Cam Newton has no practice reps. So Cam Newton performs poorly. Because Cam Newton performs poorly, it reaffirms our belief that Cam Newton's not actually good. So we don't sign Cam Newton until later on in the season. So Cam Newton has less practice reps. So Cam Newton performs poorly. Because Cam Newton performs poorly, it reaffirms our belief that Cam Newton isn't actually good. So we don't sign Cam Newton. Y'all get the point. The problem is Cam Newton has now fell into this matrix, and it's not a good matrix. It's the matrix of being a below average quarterback. When you get drafted number 1 overall like Cam Newton was, we give you the benefit of the doubt. Oh, throw double-digit interceptions. No good. You're the number 1 overall pick. But when you've been injured, when you're 7-9 in New England, and then you've lost your last 12 starts in a Carolina Panthers uniform, Cam Newton no longer gets the benefit of the doubt. And so from here on out, Cam Newton is going to be behind the 8 ball, and that's the 8 ball that he can unfortunately not overcome, at least. He hasn't been able to. So I think we've seen the last of Cam Newton, at least as a starter. But Joy, where do you stand on Cam?
Oh, no, I don't think we've seen the last of Cam. First of all, I don't even think we've seen the last of Cam in Carolina. Matt's changing it up every second. Oh, Sam can have this play. Now we'll put Cam in for this series. So I don't even think we've seen the last of him in Carolina. Plus, it's Sam Darnold. If Sam goes out and throws 4 interceptions this weekend, Matt's not going to put Cam back in? You know that's entirely on the board. So, no, I don't think we've seen the end of Cam Newton. Unless he wants to retire as a starter, right? Mm-hmm. Unless he wants to walk out on his own terms, so to speak, this year, and it doesn't seem like that's what he wants to do, then no, I don't. Because you mentioned some important points there, that the fans don't think he is what he once was. Yep. Other teams don't think he is what he once was, correct, obviously, or he would have been on a team already. So I don't even know if Cam believes at this point that he is what he once was.
Yep.
So at the point in which we know you are a different player than you once were, however great you once were, well, it's time to adjust the expectations of what you should be. What is a backup quarterback? Not the starting quarterback, not as talented, not in the same space, not available all the time, not as consistent. That's why they're the backup. So if he wants to continue playing, he will absolutely be able to be a backup in the league right now. And the important thing about what's happened with Cam as of late, which was an issue in New England, which is why they let him go, because as he said, he would have been the backup in New England. But because he is Cam Newton and looms so large, they moved him out. You don't want him breathing down the neck of your starter. You don't want him putting that kind of pressure on your rookie quarterback. Well, that doesn't exist anymore because we know what Cam is at this point. So if Cam wants to stay in this league playing as a backup, which is a perfectly acceptable role, backups make nice money, they don't have huge expectations, he can continue to play.
Stop that, Joy.
Why?
I know this much. If somebody called you the B word, you would throw them hands. You need to stop calling Cam Newton the B word.
Because I'm not a backup right now. I'm a starter.
You need to stop calling Cam Newton the B word, okay?
If I get to that point, at what point in my career that I do become a backup, then I will humble myself to that point if I want to continue working in that career.
Here's the dilemma. The dilemma is this. Every time you called Cam Newton a backup, I died a little bit inside. Why? Because think about the Cam Newton we know was a top-flight recruit to Florida. He gets in trouble because of some laptops. He goes to Blinn Junior College, where he wins the national championship at Blinn Junior College. Then he goes to an Auburn team, a mundane, middle-of-the-pack Auburn team. He wins the national title, beats Alabama when Alabama couldn't be beat, runs around the field with his hands over his mouth. Y'all YouTube the clip. Phenomenal. Shocks the world. Comes into the NFL as the #1 overall pick. 4 short years later, in 2015, he's an NFL MVP. To call Cam Newton a backup is like to call Bill Gates moderately intelligent. Like, it's like calling Bezos decently wealthy. Like, that's the insult of all insults. And Cam Newton has admitted it because Cam Newton said it himself. He does not want to be a backup in the National Football League. He ain't trying to be nobody's backup. It's insulting. All athletes think higher of themselves. That's why they play so long. They don't play so long, not necessarily because they need the money. They think higher of themselves. Joy, can I tell on myself for a second? Mm-hmm. Let me tell on myself.
Go ahead, keep talking, because I'm writing notes.
This weekend, I got a text. It's from my old college strength coach. Yeah, I'm a snitch on him. It's from Benny Wiley. He's a head strength coach at University of Southern California under Lincoln Riley now. He sent me a picture from 2011, my senior year at Texas. He sends me a picture from 2011. It's the entire football team after a weight room session. We're all sitting there with sleds in front of us and weights and 50-pound dumbbells and chains over our neck. And he texts me this, Joy. I've never been more hurt in my life. He texts me this. He said, "You used to be built like that, bro." Oh, God. He said it past tense, y'all. He said he used to be built like that. I'm no longer an athlete, but to hear I was a has-been, I ain't eaten dessert since that text message. I haven't stopped working out except to come on this show, because as a former athlete who still has it somewhere in his head, to hear that I used to be, to hear that I once was, to speak about me in the past tense is the most insulting thing that an individual can do. So you coming on this show saying that Cam Newton should be content, or that Cam Newton is a backup, he won't accept that. And because by play he's not a starter, and by mindset he's not a backup, I don't think he'll be in the National Football League. Not because he's not one of the best 64 quarterbacks, but because there's a contradiction between Cam Newton's actuality and Cam Newton's reality in his head.
Didn't Cam say he would have been the backup in New England?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. I have to reread that quote.
Yeah, he said he would have stayed in New England and been the backup. But he understood, because he is Cam Newton, why they had to let him go. Now, obviously, we know there was some issues with the vaccine thing, and it was a mess, whatever. But that did play a role in it, that they have their guy, it's Mac Jones. You don't want someone like Cam Newton looming over him, and Cam understood that. But here's the problem. No, it's absolutely not a realistic thing to say, and it's absolutely an insult to say that Jeff Bezos is moderately wealthy. However, if Jeff Bezos loses 800% of his wealth, then it is a realistic thing to say, and it is inappropriate to say that he isn't moderately wealthy. And at that point, he might still be moderately wealthy. If Bill Gates loses some capacity of his brain function, then the circumstances have changed. And that would be an appropriate thing to say. Cam Newton is not still that guy, and it's appropriate to say. I don't understand why, when circumstances change, it's outrageous to say that they are different. The situation is different. If Cam Newton wants to be a starter in the league next year, then I agree with you. It's over. And it's not because I'm saying it's over. The markets will dictate if he's a starter next year. The market will say you're a starter or you're not. At the point in which nobody's calling you, you're not a starter anymore. I don't have a problem with Cam Newton taking a backup role in the league if Cam Newton still desires to play football. You played football. You know what it's like to be an athlete. There's only a certain amount of time in your life you can perform at any sort of level where you're playing in a professional league. And if it's still his heart's desire to be on a team, to go through the grind, to go through camp, to travel, to be on a roster, then a backup role is perfectly acceptable. And I won't hate that for him, because this is what he loves.
I think Cam Newton would hate it for him. Not I think. I know, based upon what Cam Newton has said and based upon his actions, he would hate it for himself. Cam Newton is a starter, or he is not in the National Football League. The reason I say that is because Cam is too great to be a backup, man. Like,
great at what?
His legacy, his aura.
Okay, so his legacy it might be too great.
Correct.
To you, but if his desire is to keep playing, then he should do that. We've seen people in all sorts of businesses where we're like, you're not really that guy anymore. You're not really that girl anymore. But every once in a while, they'll drop a little hit. Every once in a while, they'll pop up in a little movie. They'll do a little something, drop a little special. And that's what they want to do. Maybe we think that they should just be out sitting in retirement on a beach somewhere, but they want to keep doing what it is they love. I am not going to hate that for Cam Newton, if he can take on that role, if that's what he wants to do. But that's his legacy to decide.
The 12 attempts in Carolina, his last 12 games, no hits, no wins. Hopefully Cam Newton is a starter, and if not, Hopefully he's doing something far greater than playing football, because Cam Newton, to me, you always a starter. You ain't nobody's B word.